Jiho Kim stood on the bridge of his ship, looking at the empty space where a star system used to be. Nothing was left. No planets, no asteroids, no dust, just empty black space that hurt to look at. "Captain, we're getting another distress signal," said Mina Lee from her station. She was the best medic Jiho had ever worked with, and she looked worried. That was never a good sign. Jiho walked over to her console. The message was the same as dozens of others they had received in the past month. Alien voices screaming for help, then sudden silence. Another world gone. "How many is that now?" Jiho asked. 47 star systems in the last 3 months, said Taman Park, their engineer. He was young but brilliant with alien technology. "Whatever is doing this is moving faster." Jiho's mercenary company, the Iron Wolves, had been hired to investigate missing ships near the edge of known space. What they found was much worse than pirates or smugglers. They found nothing at all. Entire civilizations were simply disappearing. The ship's communication system beeped. An incoming message from an official Galactic Council frequency. Jiho frowned. The Council usually ignored human mercenaries. They thought humans were too violent and unpredictable. "Put it through," Jiho said. A hologram appeared on the bridge. It was a tall, crystalline alien with multiple arms. Her species, the Nixari, were known for being calm and logical, but this one looked terrified. "I am Council Representative Velthura," she said. Her voice was shaking. "I need to speak with Captain Kim immediately." "You're looking at him," Jiho replied. "What do you want?" Velthara's crystal body flickered with nervous colors. "We need your help. The situation is desperate." Jiho almost laughed. The Galactic Council asking humans for help? This was new. What kind of help? "Something is destroying our worlds. We call them the Voidborn. They consume everything. Our fleets cannot stop them. Our weapons do nothing. Billions are dead." Mina looked up from her console. "We've been tracking the disappearances. 47 systems gone." 52, Velthara corrected. 5 more fell while I was traveling here. The bridge went quiet. Jiho had seen war before. He had fought in Earth's defense against asteroid impacts and alien raiders. But this was different. This was extinction. "Why come to us?" Jiho asked. "The Council has thousands of ships, advanced technology. What can a few human mercenaries do?" Velthara's colors shifted to deep blue, which meant sadness in her species. "Because we are dying, Captain Kim, and you are the only species that might survive what is coming." Before Jiho could respond, another hologram appeared. This one was Admiral Korvash, the military leader of the Council Defense Fleet. He was from a warrior species, tall and covered in natural armor. Even he looked defeated. "Captain Kim," Korvash said, "I have lost 300 ships to these creatures. My best pilots, my strongest vessels, all gone in minutes. We need a different approach." "What makes you think humans can do better?" Taman asked. Korvash quotes mandibles clicked, which was his species' way of showing frustration. "Because you come from a death world. Your planet tries to kill you every day. Storms, earthquakes, predators, diseases. You learn to survive the impossible." Jiho had heard this before. Other aliens called Earth a death world because of how dangerous it was. Most species came from calm, peaceful planets. They thought humans were crazy for living on a world that constantly tried to destroy them. "The Voidborn attack the mind first," Velthara explained. "They break down mental defenses, then consume everything. But human minds are different, chaotic. They might not be affected the same way." Mina stood up from her station. "You want to use us as test subjects?" "No," Velthara said quickly. "We want to hire you. All of you. Every human mercenary, soldier, and volunteer willing to help. We will pay any price." Jiho looked at his crew. Mina was frowning, thinking through the medical implications. Taman was already pulling up data on his console, studying the patterns of attacks. They were good people, his crew. They deserved better than a suicide mission. "What's the pay?" Jiho asked. Korvash. Quote S hologram shifted, showing a number. Jiho's eyes widened. It was more money than his crew had ever seen, more than they could spend in 10 lifetimes. That's for each human participant, Velthara added. Plus full access to council medical facilities for your families, citizenship rights on any council world, technology sharing agreements. It was a fortune. But Jiho knew it was also a desperate offer from people who had nothing left to lose. What exactly do you want us to do? Mina asked. Come to Nexus Station, Korvash said. Our last major stronghold. Help us understand these creatures, find a way to fight them. And if we can't, then we all die together, Velthara said simply. Jiho walked to the viewing port and looked out at the empty space again. Somewhere out there, things were destroying entire worlds, eating civilizations, and the most advanced species in the galaxy were asking humans for help. Captain, Taman said quietly, I'm reading energy signatures from the destroyed systems. Whatever did this, it's not using technology we understand. It's something else entirely. Jiho thought about Earth, about the hurricanes that could level cities, the earthquakes that could split continents, the diseases that could kill millions. Humans had learned to survive all of that. Maybe that experience was worth something after all. There's something else, Velthara said. We've discovered that human neural patterns are unique. When the Voidborn attack other species, they target the mind first. But preliminary scans suggest human brain activity might be incompatible with their methods. Incompatible how? Mina asked. She was always interested in the medical details. Your thoughts are too random, too chaotic. Other species think in organized patterns. Humans think in what we can only describe as controlled chaos. Jiho smiled grimly. You mean we're too crazy for them to understand? In simple terms, yes. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Everyone was thinking about what this meant. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations were dying, and they needed the crazy humans from the Deathworld to save them. I need to discuss this with my crew, Jiho said. Of course, Velthara replied, but please hurry. We estimate the Voidborn will reach Nexus Station in 2 weeks. After that, she didn't finish the sentence. The holograms disappeared, leaving the bridge in silence. Well, Mina said after a moment, this is either the best job offer we've ever gotten, or the most elaborate way to commit suicide. Both, probably, Taman added. But think about what we could learn. Alien technology, new worlds, species we've never met. Jiho looked at his crew. They had been together for 5 years, fighting pirates and smugglers across human space. They trusted each other completely. If they were going to die, at least they would die together. What do you think? Jiho asked. Mina checked her medical supplies automatically. Someone has to help them, and if we're really immune to these things, we could save billions of lives, Taman finished. Jiho nodded. He had made his decision the moment he saw the fear in Velthara's crystalline eyes. The galaxy was in trouble, and humans were the only ones who might be able to help. Set course for Nexus Station, Jiho ordered, and send a message to every human mercenary group in this sector. Tell them the job pays well, and the galaxy needs them. As his ship turned toward Council space, Jiho wondered what they would find there. He had a feeling it would be the most dangerous job the Iron Wolves had ever taken. But that was what humans did best. They survived the impossible. 3 months after the battle at Nexus Station, Jiho barely recognized the place. What had been a desperate refugee camp was now the headquarters of something unprecedented in galactic history, an alliance between humans and aliens based on mutual protection rather than trade or politics. Captain Kim, we have another convoy arriving, Hyunwoo Nam reported as he entered the command center. The young man had become their unofficial recruiter, somehow convincing humans from across a known space to volunteer for what everyone called guardian duty. Through the viewing windows, Jiho watched yet another group of alien ships approach the station. These weren't refugees fleeing destruction. They were pilgrims seeking protection. Word had spread throughout the galaxy that the Deathworlders could fight the Voidborn, and desperate species were traveling across vast distances to reach human-controlled space. "Where are they from this time?" Jiho asked. "The Meridian Collective. 300 ships, mostly families with young children. Their home system was attacked 2 weeks ago. They barely escaped." Soman John looked up from her diplomatic station, where she was coordinating with dozens of species simultaneously. "That makes 47 different alien civilizations now under our protection. We're running out of space." It was true. Nexus Station had been expanded 3 times, but it still couldn't house the millions of aliens seeking human protection. Emergency habitats floated around the station like artificial moons, each one packed with families who had nowhere else to go. "Any word from the Council?" Jiho asked. "President Valorian is still negotiating with the remaining sector governments," Soman replied. "Some species want to pay us like mercenaries. Others want to make us citizens of their worlds. A few are trying to claim we're their property because we're defending them." Jiho shook his head. Even facing extinction, some aliens couldn't stop thinking about politics and ownership. "What about the Deathworld Compact?" 43 species have signed so far. Full recognition of human equality, technology sharing, settlement rights. But some of the older civilizations are resisting. "Let them resist," said Kyungmin Yu from her logistics station. The former cargo hauler had become their coordinator for refugee camps, somehow keeping millions of aliens fed, housed, and healthy. "We don't need their permission to save their lives." That was the strange thing about their situation, Jiho reflected. Humans had become the galaxy's protectors not through conquest or politics, but through simple necessity. They were the only species that could fight the Voidborn, so everyone else had to accept their help whether they liked it or not. "Guardian Team 7 is requesting medical support," Mina's voice came over the comm from the medical center. "They've been maintaining biochemical shields for a colony on Kepler 442 for 6 days straight. The Guardian protocol had evolved from those desperate early experiments at Nexus Station. Small teams of humans were embedded with alien populations across the galaxy, using their unique neural patterns and biochemical signatures to create protective zones. It worked, but the cost was enormous." "How many volunteers do we have in critical condition?" Jiho asked. 17 are in intensive care. 3 more died yesterday from hormone poisoning. The human body wasn't designed to produce stress chemicals continuously for weeks. Every Guardian knew the risks. Maintaining protective fields required keeping their bodies in a constant state of crisis response. Heart rates stayed elevated. Stress hormones flooded their systems and their immune systems gradually broke down. Most Guardians lasted 6 months before their bodies gave out, but they kept volunteering. "Sir," Hyunwoo called from his station, "I'm getting reports from the outer sectors. The Voidborn are moving again." Yuna's tactical analysis appeared on the main display. Red markers showed Voidborn activity across a dozen star systems. But something was different this time. "They're not attacking randomly anymore," Yuna reported from her analysis station. "Look at these patterns." The display showed Voidborn forces moving in coordinated groups, bypassing some systems while targeting others, with precision strikes. "They're learning," Jiho realized. "They're figuring out how to counter our chaos." "It's worse than that," Sunho's voice came from his research lab. "I've been studying reports from our Guardian teams. The Voidborn are developing new attack methods. Instead of broad mental assaults, they're using focused strikes that can penetrate human-generated chaos fields." "How is that possible?" someone asked. "They're cosmic entities. They exist on a scale we can barely comprehend. Given enough time, they can adapt to anything." The implications were terrifying. If the Voidborn could overcome human chaos, then every alien under their protection would die, and humanity would be next. "How much time do we have?" Jiho asked. "Based on their adaptation rate, maybe 6 months before they develop complete countermeasures," Sunho replied. "Possibly less." The command center went quiet. 6 months to find a new solution or watch the galaxy die. "There's something else," Yuna added. "The Voidborn aren't just targeting alien populations anymore. They've started attacking human colonies. That was new. For months, the cosmic entities had ignored human settlements, treating them as natural phenomena. If they were now recognizing humans as targets, "Show me," Jiho ordered. The tactical display showed the recent attack on New Tokyo, a human colony in the outer rim. The settlement had been completely consumed, leaving nothing but empty space where 50,000 people used to live. "They know what we are now," Hyunwoo said quietly. "We're not invisible anymore." Jiho felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Millions of humans had volunteered for guardian duty because they thought their chaotic nature made them immune to void-born attacks. Now that immunity was failing, "Sir," Kyungmin called from her logistics station, "we're getting priority messages from guardian teams across the galaxy. They're requesting immediate evacuation for their protected populations." "How many aliens are under our protection now?" Jiho asked. 2,400,000,000 sentient beings across 800 worlds, she replied without hesitation. "Plus 3 billion more in refugee camps at stations like this one. Nearly 6 billion lives depending on human protection. And that protection was failing." "Captain Kim," President Valorian's voice came over the communication system. The leader of the Council's remnant government appeared as a hologram, his normally composed features showing clear signs of stress. "President Valorian, I assume you've seen the reports?" "Yes. The void-born adaptation rate is accelerating. Our xenobiologists estimate complete countermeasure development within 3 months, not 6. 3 months. Jiho looked around the command center at the humans who had volunteered to save a galaxy. They were exhausted, traumatized, dying slowly from the biochemical strain of maintaining protective fields. But they were still here, still fighting. "What are our options?" Jiho asked. "Limited," Valorian admitted. "We could attempt mass evacuation to the galaxy's edge, but the Voidborn would follow. We could try to develop new defensive technologies, but we lack the time and resources or what? We could attempt communication, try to negotiate with them. Negotiate with cosmic antibodies that see all life as an infection. It's better than watching 6 billion people die." Jiho looked at the tactical display showing Voidborn forces moving across the galaxy like a plague. In 3 months, maybe less, their ability to protect anyone would be gone, and then the real slaughter would begin. "There's a fourth option." Mina's voice came from the medical center. "It's insane, but it might work." "I'm listening. What if we don't try to hide from the Voidborn anymore? What if we try to teach them?" "Teach them what?" "That chaos isn't a disease. That imperfection isn't something to be cured. The universe isn't broken because it contains life, it's beautiful because of it." Through the viewing windows, Jiho could see alien families playing in the emergency habitats, children of dozens of species learning together, scientists from different worlds sharing knowledge. It was messy, chaotic, imperfect. It was alive. "How?" Soman asked. "How do you teach cosmic entities that life has value?" "By showing them," Jiho said, suddenly understanding. "By proving that chaos and order can coexist, that destruction and creation are part of the same process." It was the most dangerous plan they had ever considered. Instead of hiding from the Voidborn, they would seek them out. Instead of fighting them, they would try to show them what life really meant. "It will require volunteers," Jiho said. "People willing to make direct contact with Voidborn entities. The chances of survival are 0, Yuna finished. "The chances of survival are 0. But the chances of saving the galaxy might be worth it," Hyunwoo added. Jiho looked around the command center one more time. These humans had already sacrificed everything to protect strangers from across the galaxy. Now he was asking them to sacrifice even more. "I'll start with the Guardian teams already in the field," he said. "Anyone who volunteers for direct contact. Protocols will be—" "You'll start with me," Mina interrupted from the medical center. "If we're going to teach the Voidborn about life, they need to meet someone who's dedicated her life to preserving it." One by one, voices came over the communication system. The first sign of the Voidborn attack was silence. Jiho stood in Nexus Station's command center, watching the sensor displays. The normal background noise of space, radio waves, particle streams, electromagnetic fields, suddenly stopped. It was like the universe held its breath. "Contact!" Una shouted from her tactical station. "Multiple signatures incoming. They don't match any known ship design." On the main display, dark shapes appeared at the edge of the system. They moved wrong, like they were tearing holes in space itself and stepping through them. "All human teams, report status," Jiho commanded. Into his headset, responses flooded in from across the station. Over 200 humans had volunteered in the past 3 days. Some were soldiers and mercenaries like Jiho's crew. Others were doctors, engineers, and researchers. All of them were about to face something no human had ever fought before. "Medical team ready," Mina's voice crackled through the comm. "Hormone synthesis at maximum production. Shield injections distributed to priority personnel." "Engineering, teams in position," Taman reported. "Weapon modifications complete. All systems running on human-designed redundancies." Captain Threnix, a tall reptilian alien who commanded the station's defenses, looked at the tactical display with fear in his large eyes. "Captain Kim, my ships are in formation, but based on previous encounter." "I know," Jiho said. "Your weapons don't work against them. What makes you think yours will?" Jiho checked his sidearm, a modified plasma rifle that Taman had redesigned, using human engineering principles. Instead of precise, efficient energy delivery, it fired chaotic bursts of unstable plasma. It was unreliable, dangerous to use, and completely unpredictable. "Because our weapons are as crazy as we are," Jiho replied. The void-born ships moved closer. As they approached, reality began to bend around them. Stars flickered and went out. Space itself seemed to ripple like water. "They're targeting the refugee ships first," Una reported. 30,000 civilians in the outer docks. "Do-hyun, are you in position?" Jiho called to his heavy weapons specialist. "Ready, Captain," came the reply. Do-hyun Lim was stationed with a team of human volunteers near the outer docks. They carried weapons that no sane species would design: explosive rounds, unstable energy weapons, and devices that were as likely to kill the user as the enemy. "All human teams, remember the plan," Jiho announced. "Don't fight like soldiers, fight like survivors." The first Voidborn touched the station's outer hull and the screaming began. It wasn't audible screaming. It was something deeper, a sound that bypassed the ears and went straight to the brain. Every alien on the station collapsed, clutching their heads in agony. The Voidborn's mental attack was overwhelming their organized thoughts. But the humans kept standing. "Mental attack confirmed," Mina reported from the medical bay. "All alien personnel are incapacitated. Humans show no effects, because they think we're a natural disaster." Sunho's voice crackled over the comm from his research station. "Earthquakes don't have minds to attack." The Voidborn began cutting through the station's hull. Where they touched, metal and plastic simply ceased to exist. They left perfect voids in their wake. "Do-hyun, light them up," Jiho ordered. The first barrage of human weapons fire was unlike anything the Voidborn had encountered. Instead of precise laser beams or guided missiles, they faced explosive chaos. Grenades that detonated at random intervals, plasma bursts that scattered in unpredictable patterns, and kinetic rounds that ricocheted off every surface. For the first time in months, Voidborn forces stopped advancing. "They're confused," Una reported, watching the tactical display. "They're not sure how to process what they're seeing." "Keep firing," Jiho commanded. "Don't give them time to adapt." But even as he spoke, he could see the Voidborn beginning to understand. Their movements became more organized, more focused. They were learning. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildup from their lead ship," Taman warned. "They're preparing some kind of area attack." Through the station's transparent sections, Jiho could see the Voidborn vessel growing brighter. Reality warped around it and space began to tear like fabric. "All teams, brace for..." The attack hit like a wave of pure destruction. Entire sections of the station simply vanished. Thousands of refugees were consumed in an instant. The remaining humans felt it like a physical blow, but they remained conscious while every alien around them screamed in terror. "Status report," Jiho shouted. "Outer docking sections are gone," Dohyun reported. His voice was strained. 80% of my team is dead, but the Voidborn stopped advancing." "Why?" Yuna asked, checking her sensors. "Because they're trying to understand us," Sunho explained. "Every time they attack, we respond with pure chaos. It's like they're trying to solve an equation where the numbers keep changing." Yunbi Shin, their communications officer, broke in from the central comm array. "Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from the Voidborn. They're trying to communicate." "Can you translate?" "It's not language as we understand it, it's more like mathematical concepts. But I think they're asking what we are." Jiho smiled grimly. "Tell them we're humans, and we don't make sense." The battle continued for hours. The Voidborn would attack, the humans would respond with controlled chaos, and the cosmic entities would pause to try to understand what they were facing. Mina worked frantically in the medical bay, treating both human and alien casualties. The hormone shields she had developed were working, but barely. Aliens injected with human stress chemicals could function for short periods, but the side effects were severe. "I need more human volunteers," she called over the comm. "The synthesis process is killing our donors." "I'm on my way," Jiho replied. "No, Captain, you're needed on the front lines. I have volunteers here." Through the station's corridors, Jiho could see human medics and researchers volunteering to have their blood drawn, their stress hormones extracted, their bodies pushed to the breaking point to save alien lives they had never met. Taman. Quote's voice came over the comm from the engineering section. "Captain, I've got an idea, but it's insane." "Insane is what we do best. What if we stop trying to fight them and start trying to confuse them? I can modify the station's main reactor to produce completely random energy patterns. Instead of a controlled fusion reaction, we make it look like a stellar collapse. Will that work? I have no idea, but it might make them think the station is a natural phenomenon instead of a target." "Do it." As Taman worked to destabilize their own power source, the Voidborn pressed their attack. More sections of the station vanished. More refugees died. But the human defenders held their positions, fighting with a combination of bravery and madness that the cosmic entities couldn't comprehend. "Energy pattern modification complete," Taman reported. "Reactor now producing chaotic output that should mimic a dying star." The effect was immediate. The Voidborn stopped attacking the station's core and began focusing on the remaining ships in the area. To their cosmic senses, Nexus Station now looked like a natural disaster in progress. "It's working," Yuna said with amazement. "They're treating us like a stellar phenomenon." But the victory came at a terrible cost. Half the human volunteers were dead or dying from the strain of maintaining biochemical shields. The station was barely functional, and thousands of alien refugees had been consumed by the Voidborn assault. "Captain," Yunbi called from communications, "the Voidborn are withdrawing, but I'm detecting more signatures incoming from deep space." "How many?" Jiho asked. "Hundreds, maybe thousands." Jiho looked around the command center. The surviving humans were exhausted, injured, traumatized. They had won this battle through pure stubbornness and the willingness to sacrifice everything for people they barely knew. But it was only the beginning. "Get me a full damage report," Jiho ordered. "And send a message to Earth. Tell them what we've learned here. Tell them the galaxy needs every human who's willing to fight the impossible." As the immediate danger passed, Jiho walked to the medical bay to check on the casualties. Human and alien wounded lay side by side, treated by exhausted medical staff, who had pushed themselves beyond their limits. Mina looked up from a patient, her hands covered in blood from 3 different species. "Jiho, we saved them for now." "For now," he agreed, "but there are more coming. Then we'll be ready." Looking at the wounded around them, both human and alien, Jiho realized something had changed. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about proving that chaos and compassion could coexist. that the most dangerous species in the galaxy could also be its greatest protectors. The Voidborn had retreated, but they would be back. And when they returned, they would face humanity's greatest weapon, not superior firepower or advanced technology, but the simple refusal to give up when everything seemed lost. It was the most human trait of all. The first sign that the final battle had begun was silence across all human communication networks. Every Guardian team, every research station, every human outpost in the galaxy reported the same thing. The Voidborn were coming to Earth. Jiho stood in the rebuilt command center of Earth Defense Headquarters, watching as massive dark shapes appeared at the edge of the solar system. These weren't the small scouting forces they had fought before. This was the full power of the cosmic entities that saw all life as disease. "How many?" asked Chancellor Myung-Ho Ryu, Earth's leader. He had been a university professor before the crisis began. Now he commanded the defense of humanity's homeworld. "Thousands of ships," Yuna reported from her tactical station. "But that's not the real threat. I'm reading energy signatures that suggest they're preparing to tear open space itself." Through the command center's windows, Jiho could see the orbital defense platforms his people had built. Weapons designed using human engineering principles, unreliable, chaotic, and completely unpredictable. They would be useless against what was coming. "All Guardian teams report status," Commander Ji-won Baek called from the Military Coordination Center. She had been coordinating human forces across the galaxy for months, trying to protect billions of alien lives while keeping human casualties as low as possible. The responses came in from across Earth's surface and orbital stations. Every human who had volunteered for Guardian duty had returned home for this final stand. They knew what it meant. "Medical facilities are at maximum capacity," Mina reported from the primary treatment center. "We have 17,000 Guardians whose bodies are failing from hormone poisoning. Another 8,000 are in critical condition." "Engineering teams report all systems ready," Taman added from his station. "Reactor modifications complete. If this doesn't work..." He didn't finish the sentence. Everyone knew what would happen. If their desperate plan failed, the plan was simple in concept, impossible in execution. Instead of fighting the Voidborn, they would try to merge with them. Sunho and his research teams had discovered that Voidborn entities were essentially cosmic consciousness, without individual identity. By forcing direct neural contact, they might be able to show the entities what individual life actually meant. "Contact established," Yunbi announced from the communications array. "The Voidborn are responding to our transmission requests." On the main screen, reality began to twist and bend. A shape appeared that hurt to look at directly, something that existed in dimensions humans couldn't perceive. When it spoke, the words bypassed language and went straight to their minds. "We are the correction. You are the error. Your chaos will be ended." "We are humans," Jiho replied, knowing the entity could sense his thoughts. "And we're here to show you that chaos isn't an error, it's how life grows." The entity's response came as a wave of pure concept rather than words. Images flooded their minds. A universe of perfect order, where every star followed precise patterns, where energy flowed in mathematical harmony, where nothing unexpected ever happened. It was beautiful in its perfection. It was also completely dead. "You see only disorder where we see possibility," Mina said, stepping forward. "Look at what chaos has created." She activated the memorial display that showed images from across the galaxy. Alien families reunited after months of separation, children of different species playing together. Scientists sharing discoveries that could heal worlds. All of it messy, imperfect, chaotic. All of it alive. The Voidborn entity paused. For the first time since the crisis began, one of the cosmic beings hesitated. "Your chaos spreads. It must be contained." "Our chaos creates," Sunho said from his research station. "Every star that forms, every planet that develops life, every consciousness that asks questions about the universe. It all comes from chaos interacting with order." "You would destroy the universe to save it," Taman added. "We're trying to show you that destruction and creation are the same process." The entity's presence grew stronger, pressing against their minds. But instead of attacking, it seemed to be studying them. "Show us," it commanded. This was the moment Jiho had been dreading. The only way to truly communicate with a void-born entity was through direct neural contact. It had never been attempted before, and every projection suggested it would be fatal. "I'll go first," Jiho said. "No," Mina interrupted. "This was my idea. I should be the one to take the risk." "We'll go together," Sunho added. "All of us." One by one, the human commanders stepped forward. Tamin, Yuna, Yunbi, Hyunwoo, Somin, Kyungmin. Even Chancellor Ryu and Commander Baek joined them. "If we're going to show them what human consciousness looks like," Jiho said, "we should do it as a species." They joined hands in the center of the command room. Around them, displays showed similar scenes across Earth. In research stations, medical facilities, military bases, and civilian shelters, humans were linking together in the largest collective consciousness experiment ever attempted. "Initiating neural interface," Sunho announced. The contact was like being struck by lightning made of pure thought. Suddenly, Jiho could feel the void-born entity's consciousness pressing against his own. It was vast, ancient, utterly alien, and it was terrified. Through the connection, he understood. The void-born weren't malevolent. They were cosmic immune responses trying to preserve a universe they saw as perfect, but they had never encountered consciousness like humanity's before. Chaotic, unpredictable, but ultimately creative rather than destructive. Jiho shared his memories through the link. Growing up on Earth, where earthquakes and storms taught him that survival meant adapting to chaos, learning to fight not for conquest but to protect people he cared about, choosing to risk everything to save alien species he had never met because it was the right thing to do. Mina shared her experiences as a medic, showing how chaos could be channeled into healing. How the randomness of biological systems created resilience and adaptation. How imperfection was what made life possible. Taman showed his engineering work, demonstrating how controlled chaos could create solutions that perfect order never could. How redundancy and unpredictability made systems stronger, not weaker. One by one, every human connected to the network shared their consciousness with the void-born entity. Their fears, hopes, dreams, and memories flooded through the link. The entity experienced human emotion for the first time: love, loss, determination, compassion. And slowly, it began to understand. "You are not infection," the entity finally communicated. "You are adaptation. We're what happens when chaos and order work together instead of fighting each other," Jiho replied, through the link. The connection deepened. Through the void-born entity, Jiho could sense others of its kind across the galaxy. Thousands of cosmic consciousnesses suddenly experiencing human thought patterns for the first time. They were confused, disturbed, but also fascinated. "Your chaos creates new patterns," another entity observed. "Order emerges from disorder. This is unexpected." "This is life," Mina responded. "Chaos and order dancing together, creating something neither could accomplish alone." The neural link lasted for hours, though time seemed meaningless during the connection. When it finally ended, Jiho collapsed to the floor, his mind exhausted from the strain. Around him, his companions were in similar states. But they were alive. More importantly, so was everyone else. "Status report," Jiho managed to whisper. "Void-born forces are withdrawing," Yuna reported weakly. "They're not retreating, they're repositioning, taking up defensive formations around inhabited systems." "Defensive?" Commander Bayek asked. Yunbi checked her communications array. "I'm receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. The Voidborn are apologizing. They're offering to help repair the damage they caused." Through the command center's windows, Jiho could see the cosmic entity's ships changing. Where before they had been dark voids that hurt to look at, now they showed complex patterns of light and shadow. They were beautiful in their imperfection. "They understand now," Sunho said from where he lay on the floor. "Chaos isn't a disease to be cured. It's part of how the universe grows and changes. Over the following days, the transformation became clear. The Voidborn had become the galaxy's new guardians, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of imposing order through destruction, they began protecting the chaotic process of life itself. They helped repair damaged worlds but left them imperfect and diverse. They defended against cosmic threats but allowed natural disasters and evolution to continue. They had learned that a living universe was more beautiful than a perfect one. Jiho stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt Nexus station 6 months later, watching alien children play in the gardens while their parents worked alongside human engineers. The galaxy was still chaotic, still imperfect, still dangerous. It was also more alive than it had ever been. Mina joined him at the viewing window. "Any regrets?" she asked. Jiho thought about the thousands of humans who had died protecting alien species they barely knew, the volunteers who had poisoned themselves with stress hormones to maintain protective fields, the researchers who had risked their sanity to understand cosmic entities. "None," he said. "We showed the universe that chaos and compassion can work together. That destruction and creation are part of the same process." Nexus Station was the largest structure Jiho had ever seen. It stretched for hundreds of kilometers in all directions, home to billions of aliens from dozens of species. But as the Iron Wolves approached, something was wrong. The station looked wounded. "Look at all those ships," Mina said, pointing at the viewing screen. Thousands of vessels surrounded the station. Not warships, but refugee transports, civilian craft, and cargo haulers. They were packed so tightly that navigation was almost impossible. "These are all the survivors," Taman realized, "from the destroyed worlds." Jiho watched a massive passenger ship drift past their window. Through its transparent sections, he could see crowds of aliens pressed against the walls. Families with children, elderly beings, whole communities crammed into spaces meant for a fraction of their number. The Iron Wolves docked at one of the station's many ports. As soon as they stepped off their ship, Jiho felt the weight of desperation. The air recycling systems were working overtime, struggling with the massive population. Emergency lights flickered in the corridors. Representative Velthara met them at the docking bay, along with a human Jiho didn't recognize. "Captain Kim," Velthara said. "This is Sunho Choi, one of your species' leading xenobiologists. He arrived yesterday." Sunho was a thin man with tired eyes behind thick glasses. "Captain Kim, good to meet you. I've been studying what little we know about the Voidborn. It's disturbing." "Show me," Jiho said. They walked through corridors packed with refugees. Alien children clung to their parents. Elderly beings sat quietly, staring at nothing. Everyone had the same look in their eyes, the look of people who had lost everything. "The station is at triple capacity," Velthara explained. "We're running out of food, water, living space, but we can't turn anyone away." They reached a laboratory where several humans were already working. Jiho recognized the type. Scientists, researchers, the kind of people who asked questions even when they didn't want to know the answers. "Captain, meet Yuna Kang, our tactical analyst," Sunho said, introducing a young woman studying multiple holographic displays. Yuna looked up from her work. "Captain Kim, I've been mapping the Voidborn attacks. There's a pattern, but it's unlike any military strategy I've ever seen." She activated a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red marks showed where star systems had been destroyed. The pattern looked random at first, but as Yuna highlighted the timeline, Jiho saw it. "They're not attacking strategic targets," Yuna explained. "They're not going for military bases or important trade routes. They're targeting the most populated systems first. They want to kill as many people as possible," Mina said quietly. "It's worse than that," said a new voice. An ancient alien shuffled into the room. This was Elder Zephyros, one of the oldest beings in Council space. His species lived for thousands of years, and he looked like he had seen them all. "Elder Zephyros knows the true history," Velthara said. "Things the Council has kept secret." The old alien activated another holographic display. This one showed images that hurt to look at. dark shapes that seem to twist reality around them. The Voidborn are not invaders, Zephyros said in his creaky voice. They are antibodies. The universe itself is trying to destroy us. That doesn't make sense, Taman said. The universe is a living system, Zephyros explained. For billions of years it maintained balance. Then sentient life appeared. We built cities, ships, weapons. We changed things. The universe sees us as an infection. Sunho pulled up his research on another screen. I've been studying Voidborn remains from the few encounters where pieces were recovered. Elder Zephyros is right. These aren't creatures in any sense we understand. They're more like cosmic immune responses. The images on his screen showed twisted organic and inorganic matter fused together in impossible ways. Looking at them too long made Jiho's head hurt. Every species in the galaxy thinks in organized patterns, Sunho continued. Logical, predictable, efficient. The Voidborn can read these patterns and destroy the minds that create them. But humans are different, Yuna added. Our brains developed on a world of constant chaos. Earthquakes, storms, predators, climate changes. We learned to think in chaos. Mina was studying the medical data on her tablet. I've been looking at brain scans from different species. You're right. Most aliens have very organized neural activity, clean patterns, efficient processing. Human brains look like chaos in comparison. It's not chaos, Jiho said. It's adaptation. On Earth, the logical choice can get you killed. Sometimes you have to do something crazy to survive. Elder Zephyros nodded slowly. Yes, your species learned to embrace unpredictability. This makes you invisible to the Voidborn's attack methods. Invisible how? Taman asked. Sunho brought up another display showing brainwave patterns. When Voidborn encounter other species, they see organized threats to eliminate. When they encounter humans, they see what looks like natural disaster patterns. Storm systems, earthquake tremors, volcanic activity. They think we're just another part of the chaos they're supposed to ignore, Yuna realized. Exactly, Zephyros said. You register as environmental noise, not as intelligent life. The room went quiet as everyone processed this information. Humans weren't immune to the Voidborn because they were stronger or smarter. They were immune because they looked like natural disasters. There's more, Mina said, studying her medical research. I've been analyzing human stress response chemistry. Our adrenaline, cortisol, endorphins, the chemicals our bodies produce during crisis situations. She brought up a complex molecular diagram. I think I can synthesize these chemicals and use them to create temporary shields for other species. Shields? Velthara asked. If I'm right, human stress hormones can mask other species' neural patterns, make them look chaotic instead of organized, but it would require human donors and the process would be extremely dangerous. How dangerous? Jiho asked. The donors would need to be in a constant state of stress to produce enough chemicals, and the recipients would need regular injections. Too much, and it could cause permanent brain damage. Too little, and they'd be vulnerable to Voidborn attack. Taman was studying the technical specifications. We'd need a lot of humans, and they'd all be risking their lives just by being here. Through the laboratory windows they could see more. Refugee ships arriving, families with nowhere else to go, hoping the station could protect them. How much time do we have? Jiho asked. Yuna checked her tactical displays. Based on their movement patterns, the Voidborn will reach this sector in 10 days. Nexus Station will be their primary target. 10 days to figure out how to fight something that destroys reality, Sunho said grimly. 10 days to save billions of lives, Mina added. Jiho looked around the room at the humans who had volunteered for this mission. Scientists, analysts, researchers, people who could have stayed safe on Earth but chose to come here instead. What do we need? He asked. More humans, Yuna said. Lots more. If we're going to protect this station and all these refugees, we need volunteers. And equipment, Mina added. Medical facilities, chemical synthesis labs, everything needed to produce and distribute the hormone shields. The Council will provide anything you need, Velthara said. Credits, equipment, Facilities. Elder Zephyros looked at the humans with something like hope in his ancient eyes. For the first time in months, I think we might survive this. Outside the laboratory, alarms began to sound. Emergency lights flashed in the corridors. Velthara checked her communication device and her crystalline body went pale. "What is it?" Jiho asked. "Long-range sensors have detected void-born scouts at the edge of this system. They're moving faster than we expected." "How much time do we have?" Sunho asked. Velthara, S colors flickered with fear. 3 days, maybe less. The room erupted in activity. Scientists ran to their stations. Yuna began updating her tactical projections, and Mina started preparing her medical equipment. Jiho activated his ship's communication system. "This is Captain Kim to all human vessels in Council space. Emergency priority. We need every volunteer who's willing to risk everything to save a galaxy." As the responses began flooding in, Jiho hoped they would have enough time. 3 days. To prepare for a battle against the universe itself. But humans had done impossible things before. Maybe they could do it again.